a need for speed at the partypoker.net European Open 5, as last year's runner-up Craig Burgess and perennial runner-up Robin Keston will have to watch out for high-stakes players. Sammy George and Richard Ashby will either try and run them over or just plain run them down. It's a fiery heat on tap for sure, so run, you rabbits, run. They call him Chufty. He's one of the highest stakes cash players in the poker business. But a big tournament finish in Australia just recently. Richard Ashby is here to play.
I did win quite a lot of money out of the Aussie Millions and in the cash games as well, so I'm obviously, that is good for your game. Whenever you've got a string of wins behind you, you do feel more confident. I think you're less anxious, you're able to lay hands down, and you just generally feel more relaxed. It's going to be a heat where everyone knows each other's game, everyone's going to be playing fairly aggressively, and I think it's whoever's going to catch cards. I don't think there's much between any of us, so it's a very unpredictable result in my opinion.
First time on TV in this format, but well known far and wide by the moniker Dubai Dave. This is Dave Shallow from Essex. A sports trader by day and a poker player by night, Craig Burgess grinded through a second place finish last time and hopes to go one better this year. The Hangman, as he's
I'd like to think that finishing second in this tournament last year will hold me in good stead today. I'll certainly be very comfortable when I sit at the table. The first time I ever did it, I was very nervous, too tight, too conservative, and it showed. I think now that I've done this, played in these big tournaments a few times, I'd like to think that does go in my favour.
Once thought of as a guy who could only come second, Robin Keston has turned his game and life around. He's now the most aggressive player in 7 cities, Mr. Bingo himself. 26-year-old Londoner James Dempsey is known as Flushy online. He makes most of his bucks playing head up, but here he's got 5 to deal with. Easily the most entertaining player in poker, Sammy George is all action all the time. Not even counting his t-shirts, he's bling for the win.
I've always ended up in the turbos, always ended up second. But this year, in this event now, and the rest of the events in the forthcoming year, I'm taking it more seriously because I'd like to take a title home with me. It would cement me properly into the poker world.
Well, this is going to be a lot of fun, Paul Zimbler. These are 6 guys, all very good poker players, but more than that, 6 guys who love their poker.
Yeah, they love their poker. They know each other. They know each other's game, which is important. It's going to be a lot of fun this week for sure.
And if I'm not mistaken, 6 guys from London. So, like you say, these guys they play with each other.
Yeah, they play with each other a lot, online, live. I can see a lot of fireworks very early with Dave and Sammy.
Yellow chips worth 1,000, blue chips worth 2, red chips 5K a piece, 100,000 in front of every player, 600K in play.
What are you scared of? Losing.
It's amazing. Obviously you've got some very good tournament players here, but talk about Keston and Chufty, Sammy any 2 for sure, and James Dempsey. These guys play very high stakes cash, live and on the internet as well. Stakes do not scare them.
No. I think a good thing the players know here, if they have a big hand, they're going to get calls from Sammy George pre-flop at least, so it's good to raise your big hands.
And is it just a limp here? Ashby was on the button, chose not to raise with the kings.
Let's say goodbye to Sammy. This is very unlucky for Sammy, unfortunately. I'm very surprised he just limped with kings here, but
6,000.
I'd like to see a small raise. I know that he probably won't because he wants to get paid.
Raise to 12,000.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And when you talk about a guy like Ashby who very recently had the big finish in Australia, his tournament instincts are honed, aren't they?
It's feeling good. Sam is just called here, hoping, well, he thinks he's hoping for a blank. I think a 10 or a jack may save him. A 9 would be disastrous. This is a good card in Sammy's mind.
Yeah, obviously there is a straight out there, but there's very few hands that would have limped on the button there.
17,000.
This could be a record.
Even if Ashby starts raising, Sammy might not be convinced that he's behind.
I think you have to raise now, just in case he's on some form of draw and doesn't pay you on the river. He's obviously got a hand.
Does Ashby kind of have to discount the straight and say, hey, look, if Sammy's got the straight, I'm beat and I can try and get out of it.
Yeah, it's just bad luck. If he's got a straight, it's bad luck. You go home with limping. That'll teach him for limping with kings. But you've hit a king high flop. If he's got a straight, that's bad luck.
Well, he's just called here.
He may just check call now. 30,000.
And is there a value bet here for Richard Ashby?
100%.
66,000 in there.
30,000 is a nice bet. That's even less.
21,000.
He's giving him a discount.
This is sick.
He's never passing.
This is a hard one to figure out. I mean, Ashby has really played this strange.
You're never going to make that dinner now.
And
I think he's trying to make a time delay to make it look like it's a very tough call and he doesn't want to call and he has to call. But he already knew he's calling this bet when he checked. When he checks, he knows I'm checking to see a bet and call.
right. But there is this, from a stack size point of view, obviously if he folds right now, he's going to have like 65,000. Or maybe 60. But if he calls this, what is he down to, like 30? It's
But you still can come back, and I think going through his mind the resistance that what if I'm wow, what a pass.
This is a guy who has grown up his game. That's a class laydown, Sammy.
He wants to win.
Top two.
Richard is sick because he knows he could have stacked off on the flop.
Could have had the lot. Absolutely.
12 to 1 against, he didn't.
Top two
Richard,
again.
tell me you had pocket tens.
Shafty.
I'm impressed with the bold.
It was good. 134,000. Could it have been more? He's not sure if he's happy.
King 9.
Interesting hand, big hand, joined by our resident poker analyst, Neil Channing. Neil, it's tough to find that balance sometimes between not wanting to lose your customer and yet maxing value on a big hand.
And you picked the word there, Jesse, customer. You've got to know your customer. And Sammy George, as all these players know, is a player who doesn't like to fold hands. Richard Ashby has to come away from this hand thinking he's made a mistake. He's got a massive hand, and when he sees that Sammy George had King 9 here, he's got to ask himself, how the hell did I not get all the money in against this guy who can't really pass hands?
What was the key street to play differently?
The turn was definitely the key street, Jesse, yeah. Sammy George is led out for 17,000. If Richard Ashby makes a raise at this point, all the money will definitely go all in. The problem for Richard is he's got a very big hand with 3 kings. He's terrified of losing his man. But one of the ways he's going to not get all the money in is if a scare card comes on the river, like an ace, a 10 or a jack, a card that might stop Sammy in his tracks. And that's exactly what happened.
I love watching Chufty. I know he's smart, but I never have any idea what he's thinking.
Well, this is the thing. Here I am criticising Chufty, a man who's managed not only to convince the whole world that he knows nothing about what he's doing, he's got no idea how to play poker, but also sit at home night after night counting up his $2 million he's won in the last couple of years.
It's those sunglasses, isn't it? What's behind them? The winner tonight going straight to the semifinals and taking home Sammy George's watch. Stay tuned to find out who gets the diamonds. Welcome back to the partypoker.com European Open 5.
Do your money.
Cards are in the
Do
air.
you understand all these words?
Buttons on the loose.
No, he loves it. Don't worry about it.
That's another website, isn't it? Stack off.
Richard loves it. Don't worry about it.
Pass.
Pass.
Pass. Raise to 6,000 total.
I've seen a lot of ace kings. There's actually some big hands flying
Got
around.
that set mining thing again, I heard of it.
Set mining. You have to have a pair to begin with, don't you?
Oh, do you?
Set mining.
Sammy George there decides to fold ace.
I've never had one of those either.
I'm a bit screwed
I
then.
mean, Paul, that Dempsey is being a bit seduced by all the loose talk here. He thinks everyone's playing a lot looser than they are, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's normally the one doing the loose talk and playing tight, and I think he's falling into a trap here. And he's got out of it smelling of roses.
He has. He has. How does Keston want to play this?
Maybe a defensive bet that just get called.
8,000.
And is this an automatic re-raise for Dempsey, or are there
I think he's got
reasons?
arguments to flat call.
Because he's got position.
He's got position. He thinks he's got the best hand, and he wants Robin to keep betting off him.
I mean, Robin knows he's got plenty of outs here. He's got the big spade.
12 outs
Check.
plus the king and the ace. 12. No king. 15 outs. Any ace, any jack, any spade.
8,000.
It's a really small bet, less than a quarter of the pot.
It's a
Raised all in.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh! This is what I've been telling you about.
Robin
This is
Keston.
the new man, Robin Keston.
It's an instant fold. There's no way flush is calling. But this was such a bad bet. 8,000 is. You have to. Why do you bet 8,000? I mean, 71 from there is 18, is 40. He's bet 8 into 40 virtually. You're never going to call an all-in, so it's a great bet. But why are you not betting 20? It looks very weak. You haven't raised on the flop. Then the player that's leading out in the pot has checked to you. You've decided to bet 8,000, and now
He's saying to himself, he's going to talk this through, Dempsey. When he talks this through, I mean, what range of hands does Keston have?
Well, you got me covered, haven't you?
he could have had something like King Jack with the King of Spades.
He just said you have Ace King with the Ace of Spades, so he's got that.
Thanks, so good.
Yeah, but he's got to put him on something like Ace King or King Jack because he's bet out the flop. Maybe he's got Ace Queen with the Queen of Spades.
How much is that,
You could have something like 9 Jack of Spades, and you don't want him drawing to his ace, his king. You could have something like 7, 8 of Spades, and you've just let out on the flop anyway, and you've caught a great turn card.
You could also have like 2 red aces here, something like that, where he's scared of giving a free card,
2
right?
red aces,
I mean,
2 red kings.
giving a drawing card.
Even 2 jacks.
70.
71.
You know, but it's horrible to call your stack off here, knowing you could be drawing dead, or you could be in bad shape.
And I mean, the reason Robin's made this raise, he sensed weakness with that small bet. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, Robin's been playing the game long enough with good players, and you don't raise pre-flop, bet out the flop, get called, check, and let a guy bet 8,000 into 40,000. I mean, it's risky. If Flushy did have a flushy, then Robin went broke. But
Right, and
he knows that he
if
doesn't.
Flushy calls, which obviously he's not, he may or may not do. Robin, as you said, has still got plenty of outs. He's got the aces, he's got the spades, he's got the jack.
Gamble, Flushy. He'll never gamble. He won't hear the end of it. I'd like to have seen if one of them went over the line, how quick he'd have gone to grab it back.
Is he going to pick up anything on Robin Keston? Does Robin look nervous to you?
Even if you look nervous, you don't want to stack off. You're not going to call your stack off. Wow.
Made a call.
What? I'm very...
What
Big
queen
call.
am I supposed to do?
That's a huge call.
A big call. Keston made a powerful raise there. He's all in, but
Wow.
he's got outs.
See, he thinks he's made a great call. I'm still not sure.
There it is. Red. Okay.
Wow.
It was fun.
Nice
Alright.
hand.
Flushy doubles.
Don't look an idiot.
Robin couldn't hit the river.
Well, don't look an idiot on
Queens
TV and snap it.
Big out or Robin
Did I?
Keston.
Check into the shop, I would smack them.
Well, Flushy gets the money there, but Neil, it looked like at one stage he wanted to leave the building.
Yeah, it's an interesting hand, wasn't it? James Dempsey makes the decision pre-flop to just call with the king-queen. A hand that'll often get you in trouble, but I don't think he's saying to himself, I need to hit a king or queen here. I think he sees Robin Keston as a tight player, and he thinks there's other ways that he can win this pot on later streets.
And did Keston choose a good line for this turn?
Well, the turn's interesting. Robin's checked. It's a big card for him. He's got a flush draw as well now, as well as this, big hand of ace king, 2 overcards. And he's thinking James Dempsey's made a weak lead. He probably doesn't have much of a hand. I can check raise all in on a semi bluff, and I can win the pot. Having taken this line of making a weak lead, James really has to call. But it just shows you how well Robin Keston sold the idea that he's a tight player to these guys. Because James Dempsey, having taken this line, he takes a long time about calling this bet with a pretty strong hand.
Yeah, I mean, really, 8 years ago, Keston, only known as a guy who folded pocket kings before the flop. Now, he's a maniac who wins. As quiet as this table's been. Momentary lapse of reason.
Pass.
He's having trouble getting in the rhythm of this game, Sammy, isn't he? It's like wants to raise, he wants to call. He doesn't really know what he wants to do, Paul.
He's not in a stage where he's desperate yet, and the blinds aren't big enough to still every single go.
Pass. Call. 10,000 more. 14
He's
total.
the only guy who's
Good
yeah.
That's great play.
Call.
I feel like Zygmunt. You shouldn't be calling hands out of position. As I'm going to anyway.
He's
Just
not wrong.
that call by Dave, I think that's the first sort of sign that he may be a little bit suspicious of Burgess.
Check.
And this is
Maybe Craig has just gone to the well one too many times.
20,000.
that is that's just perfect poker. The guy's limped, made a raise. He's called you. You're not sure.
We
Whoa.
raise
I felt
all in.
that. I felt that.
He's
He
fearless.
went to the well one too many times. You know, Dubai Dave was saying, he came over the
Yeah.
top of me twice. I gave him a lot of respect.
Pass.
Dubai Dave is here to play.
That was a really strong play.
Yeah,
really strong play.
Another
You know,
one.
the first
Lost the
10,
basic
15 hands, I think he was just
nets,
getting used to the way the TV format is, and now this is his game.
He is playing.
I think if Sammy started waking up and getting some chips, we could have some real action.
Wait, he's got 143,000. I don't think he's picked up the best hand yet.
No. Well, he had the best hand there.
You're right.
Still a very... That was a good poker hand, though.
That was, and that it wasn't that expensive for Craig, but he's not going to be allowed to get away with
Let's see
murder.
what I
You
have.
know, he's
I think if he does it next time, he'll get away with it, though.
That's good enough.
he is.
Raise 10,000 total. Pass. Pass.
And the fact that he lost that last pot, is it encouraging him to?
I think he may even
on.
We raise all in.
move all of these.
Wow.
Don't even give me a
Feels good
minute to
place to
speak.
find aces right now.
Strong play.
I think he doesn't want to call. He doesn't want to raise. So I think he's going to move all in. He's just going to say either I've got the best hand or I don't.
Call.
And a call.
Sammy doesn't even want to
You
think
got a pair,
about
Sam?
ace queen, ace 10.
No.
Okay, it's a
Let's
toss,
check.
mate.
And we've seen one ace
This is all
passed.
together, mate.
And,
Offensive side, but
You know,
Take the fives.
I tell you, this
Well, no,
game. I mean, the
500.
blinds are only 2 and 4,000. This game is aggressive.
Yeah.
Good luck, Craig.
We've actually
Good
seen
luck, mate.
2 aces
I
passed.
like
So
where you go with the
so
52.
we're down
Try and
to
eke me out a
3
little bit of
jacks.
value.
And
You only good at these contrasts, Sam? You only good at these
Richard's
contrasts?
got
It is
500
Burgess,
split.
Sammy George all in.
I'll split it.
It is Sammy George all in.
Oh,
come running 7s.
4 would be nice.
Why?
Kings on 4 with the next. No?
4 then a 5. That's right.
I'll bet 500 quid in your hand. I want a bit of
I'm
pain.
joking.
4 would.
It's never easy.
got
It's
sweat.
never easy.
A lot of outs now. The queen, the ace, the jack, or the 10.
That's right.
Anything big.
Cry me a river,
Baby.
baby. Jock.
Now you want to get there the sexy way, just queen.
Anything big.
That's
Not
7.
big
she
enough.
gets more
Burgess
money.
doubles
That's
up. George out.
That's all nice.
Yeah.
She gets more.
What can he
Put it on
do?
a slate.
Yeah,
He was very
honestly,
lucky early on. He managed to keep in the game with
Yeah.
half his chips, which is a miracle. And
I didn't mean to bet against you. He just
No,
no,
he was unlucky there.
I've got a pass an ace as well.
And for Burgess,
Gave me the
right
option. I
back
chose the
in
five.
it.
I didn't really give you options. I didn't
Well, it
want to
was
bet
the
me out, you went
race. The turn made things pretty interesting, Paul.
Yeah, the turn brings him a lot more cards to win the pot with.
The 5s hold, and for Sammy George, it's only Cote de Boeuf.
I am disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm disappointed because I actually wanted to get far in this. You know, I had a lot of bets on myself to win the round, but it's no problem. We'll be back.
Welcome back. European Open 5 action here. Everybody knows that you can't.
I'll raise your blind again.
It's harder to pick up hands four-handed. I mean, Dubai Dave may have more trouble getting his re-raises through, or
Yeah, I mean, and James is going to know his game, and Richard's going to know his game, and
Raise 10,000 total. Pass.
he needs to know when to take his foot off the brake. I mean, it's not bad to call
Cool.
here. These are kind of calling hands where you can win a huge pot, and and if you miss, you're just going to get away from it.
Yeah, and it's a nice switch of pace rather than just re-raise or fold against Dempsey.
Yeah.
Play a flop. He's out of position, though.
He can play poker. I mean, this is
Check.
you might even like
Check.
this kind of flop.
Bottom pair.
James has checked to him, which is... Oh, he hasn't checked yet. Oh, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is terrible. I can feel a bet coming from Dave, yeah. When the guy checks an ace,
14,000.
you got to think you're good. Gonna call it off.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's...
Now let's see if he can fire again. Especially if a diamond comes. That would be good.
Right, I mean, it looks like Dempsey should have a diamond here, doesn't it?
Check.
Should Dempsey have an ace here?
Could have. He could have just called with a diamond. He hasn't raised. And, you know, Dave's given up on the pot.
They're confusing. Between like Dempsey, Shallow, and Chufty, it's like they're playing somewhere so far above the rim that they don't even know where they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what James is even thinking about here. You just check and win.
Check
the
and
pot.
win.
Yeah, that's right. Check
You
and win.
check and win.
Card space.
I've got one pair, you've got a king anyway.
Yeah, I know. Well, my hand's so transparent, I can't bet it.
I
Can I?
know.
You're not going to call me, are you?
No, I'm too bad, so I know you've got a king. That's a bad roll.
That's amazing.
Well,
They both knew how transparent their hands were. We were looking at the
no
cards
point
and
me
I had
betting.
no idea what they
Oh, I
had.
might shot.
Everybody is sort of is vaguely aware of what Dubai Dave is doing, which is just basically raising all pots, and yet it's tough to find a really effective ploy against it.
You just have to stand up to him and hope that you're good.
Right? I mean, you can re-raise him, but
Pass.
if your stack is too big, then you know you're basically giving him a chance to win your whole stack. You can only win his little initial raise.
Pass.
There's this point, or you just want to
Cool.
wait for a hand and
No raise.
he's flat called here,
Oh,
hoping.
he's trying to trap, isn't he? And you just have this weird feeling about the jack high board.
There it is.
You know, this is going to be trouble.
Big
Check.
trouble for Richard because Richard has to pay.
Well, I mean, he's in no
5,000.
mood right now to. He's given Shallow so much respect early on. How can he not defend here? How can he not call him 3 times?
Well, it all depends now if a scare card comes. You know, if it's a deuce to 5, then wow, the 2 outer. But
Check.
we've got a redraw, no?
Check.
The 7
Wow!
good.
And look, Dubai found a check behind.
But he's
The money
hoping.
could have all gone in there.
I think he's hoping that Richard's. Oh, what does he put Richard on? Oh, the 7 as well. He's made a straight.
You have to say
What a
Dubai
hand.
has thoroughly outplayed
Check.
Chufty here.
It's gonna. This has been a hand where it could have gone in at any stage.
15,000.
Wow. Actually,
Oh,
now it's pretty impressive if Chufty can get away from this with only... He can't fold, can
It's
he?
king, queen, or an 8, so it's a very.
You're saying he could
every
fold
time
here?
I've called it, I've got it wrong.
You're
but
saying he could fold here?
I don't see how you can fold. I think if it's
I'm just amazed that he's not going broke.
like he doesn't double up with kings on a king 9 board, he's not going to go broke with 10s on this board.
This has been a
Cool.
great hand, but I'm still not sure what happened.
Straight.
I'm winning the flop, obviously, huh? You've got 9-10.
Nice hand.
Well, as we can see from this hand, perhaps, Neil, there's people to have on your left, and then there's Dave Dubai.
Yeah, Dave Dubai is a legend in English poker. He's a guy who, when internet poker was first invented, he was ripping up the scene. He was winning fortunes. He once spent 20 grand on a night out on champagne. And then he's kind of gone off the radar a little bit and hasn't been playing. But people that speak about him in hushed tones will tell you that he knows what your hand is at all times. And in this hand, it was almost like he could see Chufty's cards.
So was Chufty outplayed or did he minimize damage?
Well, this is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because Tufty's had a hand already in this heat where he didn't win the maximum with a big hand. In this one, he kind of lost the minimum. But whether he did that by design or not, I think he's up against a very aggressive player in Dave Shallow, and he's tried on a couple of streets to trick Dave into betting, and Dave hasn't even fallen for it. Pre-flop, Tufty's trying to get Dave to raise him so that he can re-raise, I think. And later, when he hits the 10, he checks to him with the intention of getting chips out of him later. Dubai has made a brilliant check behind on the turn. He's got a very strong hand, and then he's hit his hand on the river, and he's got himself paid. Even though Tufty knows he's losing, he has to pay him off.
Well, they don't call it a bag of tricks for nothing. Dubai, he may be a master.
Definitely so. Trying to work out if it costs him money. Oh, a genuine hand.
It's Tufty's blind out there, and he's only got, about
Raise to
I guess 8
14,000.
big blinds in total. This could be enough for Burgess.
Yeah. And then we'll see what Dempsey wants to do about, his chips. I don't think he wants to call them off.
Craig's problem is that at 112,000
Cool.
feels like too much.
Could get a squeeze play now, though, because it's been a flat call. Or did the alarm bells ring? What's going through his head? Come on, talk out loud to us. Why did you flat call? That's what he's thinking. You see him looking at him? Why did you flat call? Can't even read his lips.
Right, he's confident that he's got Dave's range. But he's
Pass.
just not really sure what Burgess is up to, right?
I think Burgess played that
Pass.
right
It's a rough count
in case he does
before
get a
I
kind of
flop.
squeeze play option.
Just rough time. Are they in 20s, are
You just let me
Yeah,
just
it'll be
put
interesting to see what
about
happens. I
it's
mean, there's
about
different
now.
kinds of boards here. What does Shallow put Craig on? And
I think
you know,
Shallow's betting out if it's a raggedy flop. Anything without an ace or probably a king on it, and he's going to... He maybe doesn't put on a big ace because he hasn't re-raised.
I doubt that very much.
You might have to have a quick stab and see where you are.
12,000.
Yep. I'd love to see a flat call. I'd love to see a flat call now.
It's less than a third of the pot.
He's called a bit quick. Doesn't now look like a flush draw.
It's such a small bet that such a small bet that even if Burgess if he does flat call, I mean, can Shallow be positive that he's...
Now it might look either like a flush draw or a 10
Raise
or a...
all in, pass.
Goodbye. Next case. It's another thing sometimes, you're thinking too much and you know the right player's the flat call, but it does look scary and there's different cards out there. But, if he's got the flush draw, he's going to call you anyway, so why not just call and let him bet out again? If he's got a bigger ace, he's calling you. If he's got a flush draw, he's calling. So why is the right play there not to just flat call and let him bet one more time and hope
Pass.
you're on the draw?
Pass.
15.
Raise to 15,000 total.
Now there's value in this
At
pot.
least my chips hit the
And
first time.
I would like...
He's relentless, Dubai Dave. I mean, how often can you come over the top of him?
No, you can peel a flop. This is a perfect hand to peel a flop off with. You don't need to re-raise and risk your stack. You can peel a flop off, but I would like to have seen Richard really move all in there. He's on the button. He's picked up 10-9. And if you're just going to wait for a big ace against the pair, it's a flip anyway.
Okay.
But that's...
Yeah, he's got his own mind made up, that's for sure. Now, this is a nice flop for 8-9, I guess.
And now you're going to
17,000.
It's interesting, he just flat calls here with a draw, knowing he must be behind, and he raised with the ace. This was a perfect time to re-raise.
27.
Wow.
27,000.
I think he's been watching me too much. This is not the right play. I've learnt the hard way.
I mean, is he that sure that Burgess doesn't have a king?
I mean, Burgess can't pass. What can he have to call you on a flop like this? He's called you pre-flop, and if he was drawing, he's hit a pair with a draw still, or he's hit his draw, or...
Well, I mean, Dave's definitely played it like he's got a king. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's in Craig's head, right?
That's why he
doesn't
should have
want to
raised.
go all in if Shallow's just going to call him with a king.
Maybe if he does have a king and it's a weak king, he would pass on the flop.
That's 50 though, isn't it?
Because if you missed here and it doesn't come an 8 and it comes a deuce, he's going to bet regardless.
Problem is, if he calls here, does that mean he's intending to fold the river if he misses?
55.
I wish I could see inside their head.
Say it.
I mean, he's got to be as crazy. He's got to be nuts.
He's got a call, isn't he?
Yeah.
And is
Well,
he
he is.
prepared to risk his whole tournament on the river by going all in?
Yes, he is. And I'll say that right now. Yes, he is. If it comes a deuce of clubs on the river, he is not afraid to put those chips over the line.
Well, Burgess hasn't acted yet. This is a tough one for him.
And you see, Richard, if he did raise,
Raised,
he would have
all-in
made the
price.
straight with the 9-10.
I wish I'd called you now.
What?
On that king flop.
Why?
He done the right thing.
Well, when I know what I'm doing.
That was not the
No,
easiest.
no, no,
That was not the easiest move in the world by Burgess. He had to find some guts there.
I know.
can double barrel
Taking
it.
slow rolls.
I know every spot's different.
I promise I wasn't
I'm
slow.
joking.
We'll see that on Sigler.
Shefty's got to be the coolest man.
T40 calling through.
He's going to chuck a stack in.
Raised to 15,000 total.
This is
Pass.
the game bit up.
Pass.
Uh-oh.
The 2 big stacks.
Yes. And
Interesting to see how much he raises.
Call.
that's a pretty classy call. I mean, the way Dempsey's been playing tonight, Ace Queen looks massive, doesn't it?
Yeah, but do you want to take on the other big stack when there's 2 guys with 55,000? And that's probably quite clever thinking.
Could be.
He thought about it. It's a great flop to see an extra card.
Now that Burgess has got 200,000, there's no reason to make a big pot.
Yeah. He knows he's been called with something.
That's the nuts.
15.
15,000.
I don't know why you bet. Unless you're trying to induce the guy to think you're weak, betting 15 into...
Call.
I'll tell you what, if the obviously Dempsey
33.
looking for the 9, but
The 9 would be a horrible card for him. Well, I don't know if he loses too much. He's only going to lose money. Even an 8, it's going to be a black 8, so it's... Is he just going to call him on the river now? Oh, and it's the 8, and he's going to feel sick. He's going to know the guy
25.
doesn't have clubs.
25,000.
Cool.
Call.
Wins. So cold.
yeah, I mean Dempsey took he took an opinion on the turn there.
He could have done a number of things. He could have raised on the turn to find out if it was just a weak bet and win the pot if Craig folds, or he could just fold.
Either way for Burgess right now.
Is he up at... Craig is back. He's got the chip lead now.
Here's what's fun.
It's set. I knew it had to be like. That's a garbage set. 46k.
Pass. Raised to 46,000 total.
Just live cool.
Call.
And it's
Not
another
satisfied
nice
with getting my chip before.
Oh
Finish me
no!
off.
Oh no! Dubai's in trouble.
Just
Pass.
easy.
Don't
Grabs
turn
the
anything
output.
over till the chips have been counted, sweet. You've announced 46. So we have to double check before.
Oh, that's exactly. Instead of saying all
it's got
in,
47.
he announced a number. So
Please have 47.
Of course it has one.
Ace Queen does, man.
20,
I mean,
30,
theoretically,
That's all right.
46.
37%. I always get there anyway.
Is that right, man?
Listen, he knows his maths, you see that?
Yeah, I've been hitting cards all over.
But he forgot to say he's got a chance for a split.
I'll get there anyway. 37.
he's. Tell you what, this has been a hell
I've
of
done
a
a
day.
bet. I've done a bet. I've done a bet.
He's,
Bet
as you
against
said, he's got outs.
And he's done nothing wrong. He's pushed with king high, he's walked into an 8 and he's fine.
Horrible life.
Don't leave the building without giving
I
me that
always
monkey.
get there. By the way, I
always
might
get
get
there.
there in weird ways as
You
well.
might have to go
Ace,
to
deuce,
Dubai after this.
three,
I think you hit the wheel.
five,
I think you hit the wheel in this
I
one.
will.
I can feel it.
A wheel.
Win or lose, I get the feeling Dubai Dave is going to win a lot of these tournaments
see a wheel
in this
now?
format.
Got to the wheel now.
At some point,
Is
he's ahead now.
Alright, let's have a really good fun.
37% gone now to Burgess.
Spade.
Yeah.
Come on, what have I got to that? Give us a spade.
6 of spades for some split outs.
Yeah, 6 of spade for split outs. Some split outs.
The ace, the deuce, or the queen for Craig, the 6 for the
6
split.
for the chop.
Cheers.
Nope. King
Okay.
4. Back in the game.
Shallow run good.
And he's done nothing wrong.
I'd have called you a 10-5.
He's lucky, but he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and he's back in it. I mean, he's got his chips in. He's back to 100,000. Dubai. Burgess can afford those.
I'm just missing all the
Welcome back. The Marbella Kid and I checking in on the action.
It's a raising hand.
Fall in.
All of them, he says. I'll bet the lot.
Pass.
Oh no, another sick decision.
Sick decision. This is the easiest decision of your life. Forget. Bring on the trumpet. Bring on the chuffing.
Oh my god, I don't think I can. I'm not sure I can pass.
What have you got? Doesn't matter.
I can't tell you. Can
When
I?
his hand comes over, they're going to go, what are you thinking about?
I don't think I can tell you. I think you can tell me. It's not affecting my decision, is it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, it's a strong
He can
move
tell me
by
I've got
Shallow.
to
It's got to be
Can't
something.
Can't show his cards.
Can't
He
be
can say
nothing.
what he
Oh,
wants. He
no.
can't show.
But
Yeah,
Doesn't
but
have
you
to be
can't
telling
pass
the
ace
truth.
9
Funny,
here.
Richie, what have you got?
right, and
It's a
I mean,
poker play.
what are the chances that it's a lower ace?
have
I
you
mean,
got?
would Shallow have
I
pushed with
actually
ace 8,
can't
ace 7,
make
ace
a
6?
decision.
Now they talk about
I want
range a
his
lot.
calls, I
I
want
mean, his
his.
range is so wide open here that he wants to win the blinds, and he knows if Richard's got nothing, he's played so tight, he's going to fold. I mean, the minute you look at your first ace, your chips have got to be in. You had 55,000 and you got 10,000 in the big blind. This would be the worst fold I've ever seen him make, and he's no way he's folding. But I've been wrong all day.
That will probably flip in
He's ahead. He'll like that. But now he's got to make them hold.
Sorry, man, I suck at
I think
it.
it's the first time Ashby's been all in with cards on their back.
Pre-warning or not.
Yeah. And he's ahead.
Probably a suck
This
at
is
it,
a good
I've
chance to
basically
get back
got
in the
nuts
game.
here.
He doesn't
Dempsey, I
seem
don't
to
get
like
straight,
it.
to be honest.
The deep size,
No,
the
it's
deep
1 point.
breadths is the ace on
Yeah.
tap.
Went. Turn.
No, I'm just going to flop it.
10.
10.
Something.
10 for a come on, give him a sweat. 10.
Or do so.
Ashby's in, he's
10.
in trouble.
Give him a 10.
An ace.
Give him a sweat.
Chuffy's gone.
Good night.
No problem. Nice, mate.
Still lump.
Good luck.
Unlucky Richard.
Good luck, guys.
Cheers for go, mate.
Started so well for Richard Ashby, but David Swallow
Good luck, mate.
basically ate him up and spit him out.
Yeah, and Dave's got the game here, so
He's got it, isn't he? He's got it. It's a talent.
It's an art form.
must be so nice.
And I mean, now 3 ways. That extra 50K for Dubai Dave, he's going to be competing here. I mean, he's in this.
And he knows the value
no,
of
no, it's
the hand three-handed.
I'm not
That's why he
quite
calls
as
the
good.
8. He knew the 8 was coming.
They were playing quite aggressive and they were raising a lot of hands, so I decided to sit back and try and, find some big hands. But no, I just didn't play well today. There's nothing much more I can say, to be honest.
That's the problem.
It's been a quick heat in that the blinds are still only 5 and 10,000. Do you think that we're in for a long three-handed game or a short one? I mean,
I think it could be short no matter what the cards are, because Dave's not going to mess around. Dave knows he needs chips to get heads up, because the blinds are more than likely going to be 7-15, if not
Pass.
bigger heads up.
24,000.
Raise to 24,000
Here we
total.
go. Leave him away.
I mean, how many times do you think Dubai's mother had to tell him not to put his hand in the fire because it's hot? I mean, you could imagine this was one very burned 3-year-old.
What do you think's going through Craig's head? How many times is he going to raise my blind? Could I get away with this? Do I need to risk my chips?
Because at some point you're going to raise with a hand, aren't you?
Yeah.
The problem is it
But
requires
not
him
this
to doubt
time.
it,
Looks like he
unfortunately.
I know at some point you're going to raise with a hand, though.
is he convincing? Is
I
he
think
trying
there's a
to
hand
convince himself to re-raise, or is he thinking about peeling off a flop?
Cool.
Peeling off a flop is one option, but re-raising gives you a lot more options.
Yeah, I mean he's
You know you're going to get bet out on the flop,
right.
and this is just,
Check.
and you know if you bet you might get re-raised, so it's a horrible position to be in against this
Check.
player.
I slipped it to him. Wow, a perfect card
Perfect.
for Burgess on the turn, and yet
He can call.
can he?
21,000.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to raise here. It's gone check. You've hit a card, so 21,000's not too much damage. And once you get called, Dave knows that he's got a hand, and unless a queen comes down, then
Cool.
I don't think there's any more action in the hand. Saying that, it's Dave Shallow. Anything can happen.
So you think Shallow's going to have a... Oh, wow, that's a great card for us.
Dave knows he was beat when he got called. Unless the guy had calls with a 9, but...
Now this is a bet for value. What is he trying to get paid off by? Does he think perhaps he's going to get paid off by a 10? Maybe?
39,000.
Maybe like something like Jack Queen. I guess there are a lot of hands.
I think if he bets the same 22,000 or 27, he gets called.
It's a pretty big bet.
It's a borderline hand. Maybe he wants it to look like a bluff. But you can't... What can you beat when you're calling a bluff?
Yeah, I mean...
I think I'm laying down the best hand here.
If you say that, then you probably are.
Pass.
Yeah, he made a good pass there.
Yeah, I don't think Craig did anything wrong in the hand, and if the queen doesn't come, I know Dave likes to bet, but I think he's going to know his beat and
That was atrocious.
be happy if he can win it with a 7.
It is basically the bubble. Next guy out gets nut.
Pass.
Pass.
Second guaranteed, of course, at least the turbo round. And Dempsey, he's gone a bit card dead.
Yeah, now he's trying to
Raise
create some
25,000
action. And
total.
Morning.
We raise all in.
it's
Pass.
a great read. He knows James hasn't played a few hands and he's trying to nick the blinds. And
But I mean, James made it 25. Basically, Dubai was risking 200,000. There had to be more. He's got to have some kind of read on Dempsey.
well,
I mean,
when you're a player and you play so much, especially with the same people, you kind of know as soon as they're reaching for their chips and the amount they bet and how they bet that he knows he can do it.
you just can't do that. It's not right.
From 50,000 to 250,000.
Elevator up for Dubai. Someone was saying before, Dubai Dave must be Britain's answer to Tom Dwan.
Yeah.
25,000 total.
And if first you
We
don't
raise-
succeed,
Dempsey, you're getting beat. You're getting whipped. No. Oh, he must
Show the
just
5.
feel like he's passing chips.
you got to show the 5. He's your friend. You have to show him the 5.
Come on, he's had enough. He is steaming.
I must have had the best hand twice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a raise. How much?
Raise 27,000 total.
I'm all in.
We raise all in.
Strong stuff.
Yeah, this is the problem with a small raise with a pocket pair. I think you should either limp or make a big raise.
Yeah, I'm here to win, Uncle.
That's
And a
right.
call.
You're here to win.
Yeah, and Burgess prefers to do this with a hand like Queen Jack rather than the Raggedy Ace because he wants to make sure his cards are
That's why I'm
live.
good.
Yeah. And he's fed up with the raising, and
2 unders to you.
it's a pretty standard hand. I would rather have made a really big raise on the button, like all in, and then they have to decide to call than race off from. This is a 340,000 pot.
165. I
Yeah,
think
and the
it was.
quick call from Dubai, he says, look, I'm here to win. I think it's a race. I've got chips back.
It's a race and is ahead.
Jack's been lucky.
He's not ahead no more. Burgess.
He obviously didn't know 4 was coming.
Dubai will have some back, but Craig's going to be the daddy. Unless the 4 comes.
A 6.
You might say 6 or 7 for a bit of
Yeah,
a sweat.
6 or 7 for a sweat. I've called for a sweat for everyone else. Just go.
Just the 2 4s.
This is TV poker. Anything can happen.
165.
2 and 2 makes 4, no?
I believe so.
That's all right, I can't.
Have a can't kill.
That deuce 3 gets her, isn't it?
Easy come, easy go
These
here,
three.
Paul.
Yeah.
It's the win.
300 down at 100 again. Oh, God bless life, bro.
You haven't played as bad, didn't you?
Yeah, true.
The
Roll
little
in.
train goes down the track.
Roll in.
That cool.
And if
call.
he gets
One
called,
call.
if he gets called,
Call
is
the
he
all in.
guaranteed to be behind?
Pass.
How big a hand
Yeah,
have
we're
you
at
got?
3 to 1 shot
You
here.
got one over, mate.
Excellent stuff. Jesus.
Jeez.
These are the ones you win, though, from...
Well, you had enough hands, honestly.
What do you think about this one, Jesse?
Dubai,
No, I don't fancy it.
he doesn't.
No,
He doesn't
I
feel
don't.
like
I was going to try and encourage yourself. No,
David
you-
Benny's does a pulse 2 aces.
Yeah, cheers. Nah, you win.
He's not feeling it. It's got to be the ace.
Yeah, I do fancy it. I don't know why. It's like
3 or a 5 for a squeeze.
Didn't help. I like diamonds. It's a good suit. Jesus.
Changes nothing. Only the bullet.
Can't get up. Otherwise, you actually are knocked out.
Trying to have any superstition in the book. Nothing works.
Okay, Dave.
Your heart goes out to me. He played well.
Well, I mean, where has he been all these years, Dubai Dave? He's made for
And the turn
TV
card was an
poker.
8.
Yeah,
What a game he's got, huh?
Fantastic. Unlucky Dave. Well played.
Craig's pounded me all day. I mean, I don't know if he's had hands. I'm hoping he's had loads of hands, but he's just absolutely pounded me. I must have given him, oh God knows, maybe 400. I must have given him his whole stack overall. Obviously, I want James to win because he's a close friend, but Craig will probably win because he's got the chip lead and the blinds are big.
Don't knock steady. Aggressive works. Craig Burgess, runner-up last year, and he's added a few new tricks to his bag this year. It's got him to 465,000 lead. He just has to get through Flushy. 3-1 chip disadvantage. And Flushy's been a bit exciting here. He's a specialist, Paul. He's a heads-up specialist.
Yeah, he's a heads-up specialist here, but you know, Craig's got one free shot at this before they get level in chips, and I think he's going to use it.
That is a big disadvantage to overcome, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at James's bet frequency kind of 3
Yeah,
levels
sure.
ago, it was kind of about the same, and he's not really, he didn't do too much with the chips he had, and maybe that's because of the other players at the table.
I'm all in.
All in?
Is this where Dempsey wants to lay it down?
Cool.
Yeah.
And a call?
Wow. Right you are.
Yeah, your heads up, you got 125,000. You know he's
Good luck.
going to make
Good luck.
that with a lot of hands, and here it is.
Not too much then.
Yeah,
He
good
is
stuff.
the favorite, 60-40.
You can hit a queen after 2 kings looking with you.
Queen Jack has been a pretty lucky hand in this match, and Craig Burgess looking to seal the deal.
Yeah, it's been a big hand for Craig, where he's won a big pot, lost a big pot, and it's an interesting
Bit of a
course.
sweat, isn't it? 5 or 9, just make it.
That's
really
a flip. The heart, the king. The heart, the best card.
Jack of hearts, liven it up a bit.
Dempsey says, give me a 5 or 9. Nice card for Burgess.
Yep,
He's just got to sweat one more. Little and black, he's thinking. He's through!
I don't know.
Well played, Craig.
I'll tell you what. He had to come through fire and brimstone, Paul.
Absolutely, and he has. I mean, Dubai Dave played well, but Craig has definitely played the best in this heat for viewing standards.
How did I not hit that flop?
And James is unlucky. He has to call.
2 hearts, I'm over. I thought straight
It is
draws.
a
all
turn,
going in
so he's got
on
another
the
shot.
flop, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what a flip. Look at that flop. The flush draw, the overcard for Dempsey. But Burgess held.
Absolutely.
And look, he's on tap to be 2 final tables in 2 years.
Maybe he wants to go one better.
As the blinds escalated, the style of our players changed rapidly, worked against my favour, and I went card dead to match it, so there was little I could do and sort of dribble into the heads up. And then obviously the last hand, was a bit gutting to see a queen come out, but in the saving grace of the 2 hearts, I thought maybe, but not to be.
I had no expectations at all tonight, and maybe it's the best way because I put no pressure on myself. I can be extremely hard on myself. I feel absolutely elated. This is a special tournament for me as I finished runner-up last year. So to be back for the semi this year, I'm absolutely chuffed to bits.
Craig Burgess, the runner-up from last year, joining Bombas, Zontas, and Andy Ward in the semifinals. Who will they be joining there? Well, next time, Roland DeWolf sitting down with the styler himself, Josh Tyler, here at the Party Poker European Open 5.